So there has been a leak going around on 4chan. I actually saw this first on here before I saw it on 4chan, so it's a new word going around on Generation 10 called Tides and Gales. And the reason Wardos, not Wavos, not the guy from Chrono Trigger. The Cell, basically the Cell guy. He looks like Cell. New gimmick looks like Giga Axis. Stars out Emba Fire Goat, Octopop, Water Octopus, and Marcel Grass Snail. 16 main islands, 150 small islands. There's an item related to Gigas called a G token. Professor is Professor Oak for some reason, and the game's show legendary box strategy called Ferrarian. Nice fanfic, but funny the week, but better than Winds and Waves as well. But yeah, most likely this week is probably fake as well. Yeah. I wouldn't be too surprised if it is. It sounds too much of a fanfic. Like, why would they bring back Professor Oak as well? And of course, in the actual week itself, they said there's a lot of Gen 1 pandering into the game. Again, not too surprised they gave a growth to pander towards Generation 1, but this is a new generation of Pokemon games. You'd like to show off your new generation of Pokemon, not Generation 1 constantly. Like, that's gonna piss off a lot of people off because I think a lot of people are so sick of the Gen 1 pandering, okay? As well. Okay, Generation 6, a lot of the megas were skewed towards Gen 1 Pokemon. Every regional form in the lower region was Gen 1 Pokemon as well. Gigantamax, again, almost half the Gigantamax Pokemon were Gen 1 Pokemon. But the Paradox Pokemon, they actually made a actual variety of Pokemon get Paradoxes this time, and not just half of them being Paradoxes of Generation 1, because there are literally now 8 other generations other than Generation 1, and it was still Gen 1 pandering. I get it. Gen 1 was the quote-unquote peak of Pokemon because of Pokemania back in the 90s, but there are literally 8 other generations now of Pokemon, and we're still pandering towards Generation 1. Okay, why don't we give Generation 3 and Generation 4, and especially Generation 5, more love? For example, why didn't any Generation 6 Pokemon get megas in its own region when half of the Pokemon that got megas were Generation 1 Pokemon as well? Okay, and we're saying half because because a lot of them were Generation 3. Because once Generation 3 remakes came around, there was mostly a Generation 3 gain megas, which made sense because Generation 3 featured megas prominently in the storyline of the game. But they still snuck in a few Okay, they gave Slobo a mega, and Pidgeot a mega over Flygon. A much requested mega evolution, by the way. Even back in 2014, I remember in the 2014 discourse when I was like a kid, teenager, everybody was upset there was no Flygon mega. Oh, but here's a Slobo mega because we love Gen 1 that much. I really hate the Gen 1 pandering as much as everybody else. It is getting so sick and annoying. Like, I get if they want to give Pikachu new forms, then do that. But Gen 1 doesn't need to have so much pandering constantly in every Pokemon game, okay? Give every other generation a chance, okay? Because not everybody grew up in the 90s and grew up with Generation 1. I grew up with Generation 3 and 4 and 5. Those are my generations of Pokemon. I love those generations the most out of all the generations. I do like Gen 1 and 2, though, but Gen 3, 4, and 5, I do think deserve, and even Gen 6, 7, 8, because there are people who now grew up with those generations. I don't really care about those generations as much as, newer people, younger people do. But, yep, that is what this video here. Goodbye. Also, yeah, they're still giving us Gen 1 pandering. There's some heavy Kanto pandering here. I don't know why. The first Giga Access we get is a Charmander, so yes. Absolutely ridiculous that they're still doing Gen 1 pandering as well here. Goodbye.